Broadcasting live from Honolulu, Hawaii. Welcome to ThinkTech Hawaii's new show, Top of the Line. I'm your host, Ben Lau. Aloha, and thank you for tuning in. My guest today is my friend and fellow alum from INSEAD, David Hynes. David is a young executive and rising star at Rolls-Royce. Born between Generation X and Gen Millennial, David's origin story aligns with Rolls. He's pretty much a handcrafted, vigorously shaped, and molded British product himself. Born and raised in England, his hometown is Windermere. Educated at the Lancaster Royal Grammar School before attending University of Nottingham. Yes, that famous Nottingham. David obtained his master's in mechanical engineering before beginning his professional career with Airbus, before beginning joining Rolls. David's story is one of international career, study, travel, and competition, of hard work, hard play, and self-discipline. Athletics and competitive sports is a calling. Among numerous sports he does, he's an accomplished triathlete, an Ironman World Championship competitor and finisher. He is a chartered mechanical engineer and business executive on the ascent. Rolls-Royce having sponsored him to attend the prestigious INSEAD Global Executive MBA program and attend classes in France, Singapore, and Abu Dhabi. Using his education, self-discipline, and drive, David is helping power Rolls through this next century. There are a few businesses more well-known than Rolls-Royce that have as significant a place in history. After all, they may be remembered for making the engines that saved Britain in World War II. Today, however, they may be nothing as you picture in your mind. Let's take a closer look at what David's company is doing in the present day. Pretty cool, right? Now, let's turn the camera focus on my guest. David joins us now from the Middle East, from Muscat, Oman. Good afternoon, David, or rather, good morning. Aloha, thank you for joining me today. David, let's begin our conversation by having you describe what we just saw with that video footage, would you?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? Rolls-Royce has come a long way in the last 115 years. What you've seen there is just a number of the products which we power. And everything from, you saw the A400M, which is one of the latest transport military aircraft. You saw the Red Arrows. You saw the Eurofighter aircraft, and then also some of the next generation combat technology that we're working on as well. So there's an awful lot of defense products in that video. It's a defense video, and it's really looking at just displaying the breadth and diversity of the range of engines that we produce here within defense, and then also just referencing the land, sea, and air, and then again the diversity that Rolls-Royce as a company brings, where we're a power systems company, and we're providing power to a number of different applications all around the world.
Very cool. I want to switch us right into covering recent headlines as pertains to Rolls-Royce. There's been a lot of coverage on COP26, the recent United Nations Climate Change Conference held in Glasgow. It just concluded last week. I see your company was there.
Yeah, that's right. Rolls-Royce is honoured to be invited to the UN conference for climate change. And this is where the world leaders get together, the world leaders from 120 different countries. It was a follow-on from Paris 2015. And it's great that this group of people get together, leaders of the world, and they're not talking about conflict or territories or trade. They're talking about climate change and a sustainable future. I reflect on the challenges and sacrifices of previous generations that brings the world to where it is today. And this is the challenge that we face, and this is where our generation has to step up and make sure that we put in place that sustainable future for the generations to come.
I guess implicit in that, with your generation and with those in attendance at COP26, including your company, there's no debate whether there's climate change or not. It's how to deal with it.
Yeah, quite right. And some people might see it as a little strange that Rolls-Royce is invited. I mean, ultimately, at the moment, we're part of the problem. We have engines which burn fossil fuels and create carbon dioxide, which impacts the environment. But the important thing at Rolls-Royce at the moment is we're at a pivotal stage of the energy transition, and we're really looking to transition away from the fossil fuel kind of technologies and develop new technologies which will result in a net zero future for Rolls-Royce internally and also for the industries that we operate within. And there's a bunch of really cool technologies which we're developing, which are going to enable us to achieve that net zero position. And we've made commitments along those lines as well. And what was nice about COP26 was it was less about us talking about a commitment and more about us laying out the stepping stones of how we're going to get there. It's becoming tangible for us. We know the products, so we're talking about small modular reactors where we're using our nuclear expertise from submarines and put them in a land-based power application, which can power 1 million homes and much more efficiently than current power solutions. We're talking about electrification of flight, where we've got an aircraft called the Spirit of Innovation, which is looking to break the electric world speed record next year, hopefully just over 300 miles an hour. And actually, just on that, one of the things I like about the Spirit of Innovation, this electric aircraft, is that it's a bit like Bloodhound, which was a land speed car record attempt here in the UK. It's a calling to the younger generations as well. It's something so the kids at school can look at it and go, that's cool. And that's what I want to get involved with. I want to work for Rolls-Royce because I want to be involved with that kind of technology. So we've got this electrification of flight. There's EV tolls, which is essentially dubbed as air taxis, which we're involved with as well. That's very exciting. And then hydrogen fuel cells. And I guess a kind of a whole fuel cell solution for how we can power more sustainably the needs of the world in the future.
It's amazing. Not our grandparents or your great-grandparents' Rolls-Royce. Certainly a very different company and undertaking. I was amazed when I did some research for this to just see what you guys are doing. It's quite incredible. Let's come back to that. Okay. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, you have to remember, Ben, at Rolls-Royce, we've got 50,000 of the world's brightest minds. And for the last couple of decades, they've been focused on improving the efficiency of our engines, which is good for fuel burn, it's good for the environment. But in the context of global power, it's evolution rather than revolution. And now we're at this pivotal point. We can refocus those brilliant women and men with, we immerse them in an innovative culture like we have at Rolls-Royce, and we set them a vision as bold as, saving the planet for the future. And honestly, I think we're going to be blown away by the results, in terms of what solutions and technologies are going to be generated over this next sort of 10, 15 years.
Very exciting stuff. Watching this stuff, getting to know this company, what you do, just blew the doors off. It's just really incredible. Not anything like what I had come into this expecting when we first talked about the possibility of you appearing on this show. We'll get back to it. We'll get to how you got to Rolls-Royce, and also if younger viewers are encouraged, how they might think about trying to knock on the door and get into Rolls-Royce. Let me switch to another current topic, very much in today's news, COVID-19. Tell me, how has the pandemic affected your life and work at Rolls?
It's a depressing subject, isn't it? But in reality, we're still in the thick of it, and it's had a massive effect on me personally, on my family, and also on Rolls-Royce. So I'll start with Rolls-Royce. I mean, it's Rolls-Royce pioneered a business model which is called Power by the Hour. So we get paid when the aircraft fly, essentially. And COVID just grounded the world's fleet of aircraft pretty instantaneously, and as a result, hit Rolls-Royce really hard.
So let me
hit the whole industry hard.
Let me interject. When you say power by the hour, and you say the aircraft, can you clarify what you mean? You mean all the planes that are powered by Rolls-Royce engines?
So we provide the engines that say for a Boeing Dreamliner or an Airbus A350, or indeed the A380s with Emirates have some of our engines as well. So these aircraft are as I say, we get paid as they fly, and the reality is they all stop flying. And the worst thing about it is we power the bigger aircraft. And the first thing the airlines did was ground the bigger aircraft and perhaps still kept some of the smaller ones running. So we got hit particularly hard. I mean, the whole industry got hit hard, but it was definitely tough at Rolls-Royce.
How has it affected you personally or professionally on a more micro level?
Yeah, so it forced Rolls-Royce into a restructure essentially within the civil business. Now, Rolls-Royce is fortunate that it has diversity across its range of products. So we've got civil aerospace, defence, and also power systems. So we're not entirely dependent upon the revenues from civil. But the pandemic forced the civil business to restructure, and as a result of that, the role I was doing in the Middle East, based in the UAE, was sent back to the UK. And that took me to a crossroads. I wasn't ready to go back to the UK, I at that point in time I didn't know what the next step was going to be. And that's where you have to sort of remain confident in yourself. You have to think about the brand that you have and the experiences that you've achieved, and really use your network. So I was reaching out to people within Rolls-Royce that might have potential opportunities, and I was also starting to look externally as well, on the basis we have INSEAD as a great group of people to speak with on this sort of subject, and just trying to understand what my options were at that point in time. And unfortunately for me, I got linked towards a role here in the defence business of Rolls-Royce in Muscat, in Oman, and it's been a perfect fit actually. So from that crossroads, which could have gone in any number of different directions, I'm very pleased with how it played out. But there was a time during that period where it was a little bit of a where's this going to go, and what's going to happen next. So fortunate that I can reflect on it in a positive way, but it was definitely a challenging time in my life.
Kind of a silver lining, forcing you to navigate, negotiate your way to this new role that you have and a new location in the Middle East, because you've worked at a lot of places in the Middle East, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Such as?
Well, yeah, so during my last role, I was working a lot in Qatar with Qatar Airways. They're known to be one of the most demanding customers in civil aerospace, and they're also one of our largest customers. So that was one of my accounts. So I spent time in Doha. Emirates was another one of my accounts. So I spent a lot of time in Dubai, working with them, and then I had links into Oman, into Kuwait, and then obviously I then moved on here to Muscat, where the role was a little bit more around the Middle East rather than just specifically Oman.
I want to come back to this. There's a lot of stuff here, but I also want to go back to what you said is depressing, and it is. COVID-19 is tough on the whole world, and people are making their way through it. Your story is a story of victory and perseverance, as is for your company. You shared with me you just had your second vaccination shot, and it was pretty rough on you. And then you also shared that you got COVID. Can you share about that?
Yeah, sure. So I actually had my second Pfizer shot 2 days ago, and yesterday I was just fever, shivers, you name it. I didn't feel like I was in a very good place at all, and not ideal preparation for this today. But actually, I feel much better. And it typically is, like a 24-hour thing after the shot. I think, you just pick up a few symptoms and then move on. But yeah, you're right. I had COVID itself as well, unfortunately. You can imagine how unpopular I was at home, Ben. I traveled to the US for 10 days to do the Ironman World Championships in Utah. And my wife was due to come with me, but then due to COVID restrictions, she couldn't. So I went on my own. I arrived back from the US, and then it turns out I picked up COVID at some point over the end of that particular journey. And without really knowing it, of course, you don't know you've got it. So I ended up having it. My wife had it, and I was not very popular at home whatsoever. But I just add that it's tough. It was really not very pleasant for a few days, and for a few weeks afterwards, I could feel it on my chest. It was definitely something there, and I think I'm just fortunate that from where the position I had, it got better rather than getting worse. A few weeks afterwards, it was just a distant memory. But thinking back, it wasn't a very pleasant experience.
That speaks volumes, because you're a endurance athlete at a very high level, and for you to use the word tough, that's quite something.
Yeah, I like things that you can control. I can control my fitness, how much I sleep, how much I train, how much I race. But when it comes to things like this, it's just a case of resting, and I'm not the best at resting. So that was one of the big challenges from my perspective.
Let's go to something that was more in your control, but yet maybe perhaps out of your control, but you got your way in. How did you get into Rolls-Royce in the first place?
Yeah, so I have to go back a few years now, Ben. I joined Rolls-Royce in 2009, but essentially, as you mentioned, I graduated from Nottingham University with a master's in mechanical engineering. And at the time, I applied for graduate programs, so I applied actually for Airbus and for Rolls-Royce. And I made the decision to go with Airbus, actually, onto their direct entry graduate scheme, on the basis they offered international experience. They were very keen for you to move around the different sort of Airbus facilities, and I was fortunate to take advantage of that. So I started off at Airbus. I worked up in Chester, which is sort of northwest of England, not too far from home in the Lake District, and then I got a chance to work in Seville for 3 months on the A400M, which is one of the aircraft we saw in the introduction video. Then I moved to Toulouse. I worked in Toulouse for about 6 months, and then I moved back to Chester after that to sort of conclude my graduate program. And the interesting thing was I always said to myself when I finished the graduate program, I'll put my CV online just to sort of test the water. And I did it not thinking at the time about changing role. I was in a good place at Airbus. I was very happy, great group of people, great job, great prospects. Things were going well. But I was still just wanting to understand my value in the marketplace. So I put my CV online, and nothing came of it. Weeks, months passed. Perhaps a bit of rubbish came in my direction, but nothing that was particularly of interest. And then I got a phone call from a recruitment lady saying she was recruiting for the Rolls-Royce Senior Management Fast Track program. And it made my ears prick up a little bit. This sounds all right. And I thought, well, no harm in just seeing what it's about. So I headed down to Bristol for an interview. And later on that same day, they offered me the role, which I really wasn't expecting. So I'd gone from being very happy at Airbus to all of a sudden having this job offer from Rolls-Royce. I had a decision to make. I had to talk it through with people at Airbus, and ultimately what Rolls-Royce was offering was just too good to say no to. I moved down to Bristol and started my role with Rolls-Royce. Funny story, but it turns out that actually the Rolls-Royce Senior Management Fast Track program doesn't exist. The recruitment lady was perhaps, leading me on a little bit with that. But in truth, I guess what I'd say is, you've got to be in charge of your own career. You can't rely on other people in any case. And so since I've been at Rolls, I've really kind of tried to grab my career and take it where I want to take it, with support of, your management, your HR, whatever it may be. But, you can't rely upon other people. And so, I've kind of almost made a Rolls-Royce Senior Management Fast Track program, rather than having to be one there for me.
Very, very excellent. Very excellent. It sounds like they didn't want to lose a second opportunity at that bite of the apple, you being the apple. You're obviously doing well because Rolls sponsors you to attend INSEAD, underwrote your way. Not an inexpensive proposition and a very time-consuming one. 14 months of traveling, studying abroad. Share a little bit about that if you could.
Yeah, sure. It's getting the funding agreed for that MBA was not easy. You need to get sign off from some pretty senior people in the organization, and they need to support the rationale for you going. And I was one of the first people from Rolls-Royce to go and do INSEAD. I know of one lady before me that had been, but it was quite a rare occurrence, essentially. I'd done the extra miles. I picked up those extra projects, and I managed to get some good visibility in the organisation, which allowed me to make my case for being sponsored for the MBA. And then 2015 it feels like a long time ago now, but it was one of the best years of my life. I genuinely, that the MBA experience. I know you've experienced something very similar as well.
That's where we met. That's where we met.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, INSEAD's one of the best business schools in the world, if not the best. It's much more than just education. It's the people you meet that I can now call friends. It's the places you study. It's the opportunities you get. It's even the parties you go to. It's the full experience. And for me, it's been life-changing. It's changed the way my career's gone. It's enabled me to have a much better understanding of Rolls-Royce as a business, and it's something that's now part of my brand that I can take forward.
So it sounds like you're a very strong supporter, and it was time very well spent. And it sounds like you would encourage as well younger folks to, if it's within reach, even apply and get some of that visibility as they go through that approval process, right? Try to get attention and sponsorship from above.
Yeah, you've just got to be determined about these things. You can't let it slip. And I was fortunate that the stars aligned for me. And I had a great manager at the time who supported me. And I got the backing of the company. But it's there for the taking. You've got to get your timing right, because the company's got to be in a position where it can afford it. And you've got to make sure you make your case and you stick with it and be determined.
Have there been any demonstrable returns on the investment for Rolls-Royce? They're investing in you and investing you in that MBA?
I like to think so, Ben. Yeah, I like to think so.
Can you share?
Yeah, sure. So the MBA really enabled me to move from, I guess, the back office of Rolls-Royce, so operations, program management, supply chain, and get into the customer-facing side of the business. And since I got back from my MBA, some of the roles I've done, I've presented programs to the board of Rolls-Royce and got them signed off. And there's now hundreds of engineers in the UK working on that particular program. I've been in the middle of multi-billion-dollar deals with Emirates, really testing my abilities and my, I guess, skills that are either work experience based or indeed INSEAD based. And as I mentioned, Qatar Airways are not an easy customer to work with, and so they've definitely tested my mettle on a few occasions. And so I've definitely used the skills that I've gained from INSEAD at Rolls-Royce. There's no doubt about it. And as a result, Rolls-Royce has hopefully seen the benefits back. And then, of course, I've got my current role here in the Middle East doing business development, which again, is a topic we cover as part of the MBA program, and it's something which I'm very passionate about. And I feel like I've sort of I think in the US they would say I'm in my wheelhouse. I'm in a place where I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I'm in a place that I like. And I feel like I've got the skills and the experience from my MBA and from my work experience that puts me in a good place for this role.
We've got a handful of minutes remaining, maybe 5. I very quickly want to point out a couple things that I noticed in researching Rolls and researching you. You share a couple of mottos, actually. No limits and land, sea, air. We'll share some graphics if we have a chance. We may not have a lot of time to get into this right now, but you seem to be a very meshed fit with Rolls-Royce, and they with you as well. And you know, it's incredible the results you've accomplished, participating in Ironman World Championship, being a second place finisher, being a triathlete across the board, doing all these things. Of your many endeavors and achievements, David, what are you most proud of?
You know, I have to say I'm most proud of my family. In truth, Ben, you know, I've got 3 young kids here in Muscat, and you know, one of the benefits from COVID is I've had more time to spend with them, as I haven't had to travel to the office as much, and you know, they bring a smile to my face every day, and so you know, I'm really proud of the kind of the family life that my wife and I have kind of generated with our kids. That's pretty cool. And then yeah, you know, work-wise, you know, there's as I mentioned, there's been some pretty cool achievements over the years, which is great. And then sports-wise, you know, I'm definitely fit into the work hard, play hard category. You know, it's the whole work to live, live to work. You know, it's for me, it's about working to live. It's about, you know, and then using the time you have. And I often get asked the question, you know, why, well, how do you find the time? Or it's peculiar. It's something that's come out of living in the Middle East. You know, we tend, because of the heat here, we tend to do our training from 4:30 in the morning, 5 in the morning. So I get 3 hours a day of training in before it's even 8 in the morning. That's 21 hours a week that's just gifted to me, just by getting out of bed early. So, you know, the time's there, you've just got to find it.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt. You said using the time you have, and I've got to do that because we've got to tie things up. I want to do 2 things. One is I want to pose a question from a loyal viewer who's tuned into my shows. Alexa Chiang of Taipei, Taiwan, wants to ask you a question. And by the way, Alexa, congratulations to you and Rob on your big news last night. Alexa's question is, the name of our show is Top the Line. Referencing the graphic at the very beginning, where do you see yourself right now at your young age on this climb to the summit? What do you see for your future? What's your strategy for charting forward? If you could keep it real brief.
Yeah, sure, Ben. So look, I'm not at the top of the peak yet. I'm working my way up. For me, it does come down to work-life balance a little bit, and I think that's something that will evolve over time. And you know, the more senior roles at Rolls-Royce are big commitments, and I'm hoping that in time, you know, I'll be ready for them. And at the moment, you know, I'm just striking a balance right. So for me, you know, there is no limit, there is no cap on my career and where it might take me. It's just a case of as time goes by, making sure that, you know, I just attempt to fulfill my potential as I go forwards.
Well, the summit is in sight, and it's in my sight of you being in sight of that summit. You're getting there, you're close, and it's going to be exciting to watch your career. You're going to be somebody very important, and you're going to have to remember me. David, we have some more video footage on Rolls. I want you to take a look, and then I want you to comment on this. Let's roll this tape, please. David, what did we just see? You're also a senior strategist at Rolls. Where are you guys and gals taking Rolls-Royce? Where are you taking us?
Yeah, I think what you can see from that video clip is that there are no limits. You know, the sky is certainly not the limit when it comes to Rolls-Royce. You know, as I mentioned, we're at this pivotal point of energy transition. We're looking for, you know, how we can put a sustainable power future in place for the world, and you know, that covers land, sea, air, and space. So, you know, we're very excited about what's to come.
As am I. David, thank you so much. Power on, man. You and your generation, we're all looking to you for a brighter, better future. Mahalo for joining me today, for sacrificing your early morning run or bike ride or whatever you're doing. I think you have a competition this evening. Time now for you to go and crash and recover, okay?
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate you having me.
Viewers, thank you for joining us. From my home to yours, and from David's in Oman, from me and my family to you and yours, mahalo and aloha.